Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please read the roll?
I will be pleased. Supervisor Moore,
Present.
Councilwoman McNamara, Councilman Iacilli,
Present.
Councilman Pell,
Present.
Councilman Schiavone is absent. Okay. We have a quorum.
All right, so we're going to review the draft agenda for the January 9th meeting. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to review it. I think if we had any questions, we can always call someone up to come and explain to us, or Jim might have the answer. I don't know if we want to continue the way we did it and that they did it in the past where we read every resolution, or do we just want to discuss the ones we had questions about? Do you have any thoughts on what's
Jay was trying to get
required?
away from reading them all, and then, but it seemed like he ended up doing it. It was kind of back and forth.
Because it seems like if nobody has an issue with it, then we don't need to read them, but, not that I'm trying to.
Well,
you
this
know.
is draft in the sense that it has not been published to the portal, and the public has not had access to this yet. They will as soon as you finish your review, then we will go downstairs, make any changes that you've requested as sponsors, and then we will post it by this afternoon. So that way, the public then has access to it and will be knowledgeable about what it is that you're going to be considering at the next town board meeting.
How about
Okay.
if we read the title of each resolution and what it's about? And then if we have any questions, then we go more into it. If we don't have any questions, we just go on to the next.
Yeah, generally, at most, that's what we did. That's what the board did before. Or it's just read the title of the resolution. Maybe they would say Town Board Resolution ID number 45-254, and then read the title, and then.
Like the public hearing, you want to read that, what it's, the public
Yeah,
hearing
you
about.
just mention that you have
But like
three,
the-
4 public hearings on, and you could just,
Yeah.
the title of them, and-
Yeah.
Like,
Well, we could say, because there's a lot of contracts on here just to be executed, it's for, looks like it's a lot of purchasing of equipment and materials. Yeah,
Right.
but, you know, if people are comfortable with the old way, we can- it's just if we don't change it now, we probably won't.
Yeah, I mean, Jay was looking, trying to get away from the actual rote reading of it.
Because it's, you know, you read it now, then you
Right.
read it next week.
Right. I mean, I understood that. Yeah.
And it's not live on TV. Okay, so you're not reading it to anyone
Right,
until
okay, yeah,
this
so that's-
meeting actually
that
gets
really
put
doesn't
up,
make
and by
much sense
then
at
I'll
all,
have
then.
the agenda online. Once we're live streaming, maybe it will make a difference, quite frankly, but
Yeah.
right now, not so much.
Right,
Yeah.
right, so then we just.
I mean,
read
because
the
honestly,
rest
you're just talking to yourselves
of it.
today.
Right, so that doesn't make.
I do that all the
I
time.
hate to break it to you, but
Yeah.
Okay.
this is how it's been for a while, so.
So, let's say, you know, so why don't you tell us about the bid and requests for proposals? Those are just matters that have been out for bid?
Yes. That's all.
Two things?
Yeah. Good for tilt roller trailers and the maintenance garage, yeah, those bids are out.
And so these are the bids that came in, so if there's only one bid that came in for the trailer,
Yeah.
we don't need two or more?
Well, you put it puts the solicitation out, and then if you only get the one bid, then that's what it is.
Okay,
That's what it is, right. And then, of course, you could decide to reject all if you don't think it's a responsive bid.
and the one for the maintenance of the garage at 30 Club Lane, so, order these out with the engineer to, you know, tabulate which,
Right.
just to make sure they're all,
Right, you have the lowest, but you want to make sure that it's the lowest responsive bidder, right? So that's the.
so does that come back to the board once the engineer determines the lowest responsible bidder?
Right, the actual award will be, come back to the
This might not be the lowest, it's the lowest one you could do.
Right, lowest response, right. It has to be somebody who's responsible. So, make sure that
I'm
that
sorry,
bidder
but-
wasn't somebody who has a, prior
Yes.
default in the past or,
Mhm.
reasons to disqualify.
And then there's four public hearings.
But, yeah.
And this doesn't necessarily mean there'll be resolutions to adopt, right? We just
Right.
listen to the community and
Exactly.
talk amongst ourselves.
Exactly. The first one is, the Bridgehampton, we've had public hearings on this matter a number of times already, so, but it was,
So when it comes up to be 560, they're gonna have things on the wall that describe the property?
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Okay.
Because we weren't participating in the
Yeah.
work sessions on these, so this will be new for
right,
us.
right, and this is, the creating the historic, it's had very, very positive responses so far. Really, there was one or two people who came out who were just concerned about having their property included in the historic district for various reasons, and we've actually, on a couple of them, we actually cut them out of the historic district, but this is,
That was in Bridgehampton, right?
this is Bridgehampton, yeah, this is Bridgehampton Historic.
I thought they
District.
adopted that already.
Um,
At the last meeting, they were saying this is the first time we've ever set up an historic district not in a village. So I thought that went through, but this is the same thing, do you think?
There was two steps to it, and Kelly Doyle's the one that's been more involved in it than I. There was two steps there. Creation and the actual,
Oh, acquisition.
the actual list of the properties. There was two, essentially two steps.
Oh, I see, so we established the district, but
Right,
now we have
establish the
to
district,
do
then you-
easements and
right.
acquire the property.
Right, we'd have to acquire, it was just including, it was just the list of the properties that are actually gonna be in what the district boundaries are gonna be essentially.
Hey, Jim, what is the,
Okay, I don't know,
this benefit? for
I'll
the
look at that very
properties?
quickly. You're right. This is not, I'm sorry, this doesn't even have to do with the historic, this is a CPF.
Let's see,
Yeah,
okay,
this
so-
is in
all
the
right.
easement?
Yeah, this isn't, I'm sorry. I looked at that, I saw Bridgehampton and I saw,
Oh,
historic.
Sagapon.
Yeah, it's
So
Sagapon.
this is, no, this is
It's a
just
separate
an
property?
acquisition. This is a hearing on acquisition, right? We
Okay.
did the, I'm sorry, that was.
No, it's all right. And then the next one, that's a big one, $4.5 million to upgrade it, so hopefully we'll have somebody here to explain some
Oh,
of the
yeah.
details to
Sure,
us.
absolutely.
Oh, and then the housing fund plan, Carol will be here.
Yeah,
And the last one is another acquisition.
yeah.
I think it would be
Yeah,
great if
even,
we could have a report from the CPF committee on what, like a spreadsheet on what's been preserved in the
Mhm.
last
An
several
inventory.
years. Yeah, an inventory.
Yeah, have a nice, yeah, that would be very helpful, sure.
That would be helpful before the meeting if possible, right? Just so
Yeah.
we can sort of make proper
Look at it.
adjudication.
Maybe they have that already, or they might need more time to create it.
Wait till executive session.
Okay.
Right.
They're on for executive session later this morning.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
we
are?
have, exec,
Some
on a
okay.
couple of pending projects, so we can talk to them more about that, but, right? Obviously, it's a very vibrant fund, as we all know.
Yeah.
So,
They will be happy to listen to your feedback.
Oh, good. Who's coming in for that?
Jackie Fenlon and Dan McCormick.
Okay. So, I mean, this, a lot of this, I don't know how you want to do this. I mean, I feel like it takes so much time to read each one, but we can do it that way, but if, the thought was to get away from it. I mean, like this, the first one on the daycare is just a contract so that we get reimbursed from the county.
right,
It's probably something that we always
right,
sign.
right, it's pretty.
The Office of the Aging, I'm familiar with that department within the county.
Mhm.
And I'd like to co-sponsor that, actually, Madam Clerk.
Oh, yeah, this would be a good time to get those out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what, instead of reading it, we could just say, what about number 2? Oh, they're not numbered.
Well, they have
They have
like an
resolution
ID
number.
number now, and then,
ID
which
number.
converts to a resolution. right? So
Once we
they're-
process the agenda,
Mhm.
then everything will be converted to an assigned resolution number.
Mm-hmm, okay. All right, this one about Moody's, that's great, AAA rating and just paying the bill. I think the AAA in the third paragraph is capital A and then 2 small a's, just as a
Mhm.
minor point of reference. We could
Mhm.
just make that change.
No problem.
I saw it earlier, but where is it now?
You know what I mean? I
Has
think
it been
that's just how
changed?
Moody's does it. They say the first A is capital A and the next 2 are small.
Is it supposed to be small, or?
Yeah. If you, you know, you look on the website, that's how they.
Not to be confused with AAA?
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
All right, then signs. Shall we buy them off either the county contract, the state contract, or some
Right.
other
Through the shared
municipality
services, yeah,
contract?
Yeah,
So we get the best price.
exactly.
So that would be the same for I wish these were numbered, like number 4, number 5, it'd be easier to say it.
Mm.
But the one about the reflective signs and then the one about the guardrails, that's all the.
Actually,
I like
on
to-
resolution
Sunday, I like to co-sponsor
45220,
Which one?
The guardrails.
I would just like to make sure, and I know that Bill and I, Councilman Pell and I, spoke about this earlier, just making sure that this resolution doesn't limit our ability to have furnishings with wood and other types of alternative material, given, different communities want different types of community aesthetic, and I believe that Councilman Pell did have a conversation with the Highway Department, noting that there is flexibility in that.
Yeah, this is just for the one type of material they buy. They do.
There is
do-
flexibility.
It's very flexible to.
Okay, just want to make sure of that, and
Yeah.
I'm happy to co-sponsor as well.
Okay, and then 45247, again, we're,
Yeah, I spoke to-
authorizing the,
Yeah, I spoke to the highway department, and he said that's fine. I can sponsor that one, too.
it seems like, Jim, that a lot of these have, the last paragraph says that if a contract extension is in the best interests of the town, that we would do that. That means not coming back to the board to extend it. Most of the contracts just have extension periods and,
Right, there are those that have that. Were you saying to try to put those in these?
no, it says here,
Oh.
like, if there's any subsequent contract extensions for the
Page 6.
guardrails, the town board hereby authorizes the purchase if it's in the best interest of the town.
Okay,
So
But I don't think they're
who's
gonna.
making that
Yeah,
determination?
I don't think they can exceed the money amount either.
That's true, as long as it's
Yeah,
not
they-
exceeding the amount in the
Yeah,
budget.
I think it's 35,000. 20,000.
Yeah. Okay, well, if you're all good with that. 45247. Another purchase, sweepers and rentals. They're all pretty similar language. 45221, supplies. As long as they're all saying they're not gonna exceed the budget amount, then
Yeah.
it just gives the departments discretion to make the purchases as needed.
right. Right. Yeah, these
We're
are
just
pretty-
trying to, this is our first time, so we
Sure,
wanna work
right,
through it all.
right, right.
Lowe's, 45206 is the contract with Lowe's. This one I thought was a little different, because it's almost as though there is no contract yet, and it says the contract shall be reviewed by the town attorney's office and the comptroller. I just think it's a little odd to be authorizing us me to sign something that's not in existence yet.
Mm.
You don't want to sign something that hasn't been approved by the law department. But I could
then
definitely
I
read
think
it
is-
before that I
Yeah,
sign it.
I think it might be
Just
where
kind of
they
author
can,
it.
where they can go and buy stuff from them on a, may have a town credit card, but they can't exceed this so much.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it might
It's
be.
at will,
Yeah,
sort of.
yeah, that's what you have to find out. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, second omnibus agreement.
Because the trustees had something like this, where we had a, Home Depot credit card, and they go by, nothing, it has to be under $700.
You may want to have a discussion in the future to familiarize yourselves with the contracts division and maybe Dorothy
Yeah.
as well, the
Yeah.
comptroller.
Yeah,
So
we-
that they can share
Tell
with
us.
you the procurement policies
Mhm.
and such that most of these work within. Sometimes I used to be in another department that we did contracts that had a lot of extensions that you can avail yourself of or not. It's your choice,
Right.
and so sometimes it's helpful to revisit them to make sure that they're still in line with the budgeting and they make sense.
Right.
And you have a new head of the contracts division now that's been in there just a couple of months. So we've been assisting with trying to get the processes straight, because the bidding is done through my office. So, she's been working very hard to straighten things out, and, I think it would be helpful for you to.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yes.
Thanks for the
Yeah.
suggestion.
First, like it's authorizing anything under the
Threshold.
thresholds to,
Okay.
yeah, you can deal with Omni Apartments through the Lowe's Home Center. And anything above it, obviously, is gonna need a separate resolution.
Mm-hmm.
That's what-
So then 45207 is the same layout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it is a good idea, like Cindy said, we can bring in Tatiana and Dorothy, and we can talk about just the process, so everybody's familiar with the process. I think that's healthy. Mark Redmond from my office is
We
the,
just updated the whole process, working with the contracts division to bring it, just to update it. It was a little bit not in sync with how we've evolved. So we wanted to make sure that we got her off to a good start, and we helped to revise the document to get the procedures straightened out for her to use in her department.
Oh, good. All right, the next one's 45198. With purchases from US Foods for the Senior Citizens Program, as per the budget. And, what do you? do you
Yeah,
have
this
any
sounds,
comments
I
about
haven't seen it says that these are based on recommendations from the Senior Citizen Program Director, as well as the town board. I haven't seen what those recommendations are, but I am aware of the coordination with the county as well, the county senior services too. I would like to co-sponsor this resolution. I guess it would be a good idea, though, for us to see what those recommendations are, just to have that in mind.
Mhm.
Yeah, we should know that.
Yeah, all
And you're
these,
talking about 45198.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, 45192, authorizing the purchase of the auto parts. No, just so you're aware, you're seeing it, anything for goods over 20,000 or public works over 35,000, we need the resolution.
Yeah.
And it has to be off a valid state or county
I
or
can
municipal bid.
co-sponsor that one,
Which one?
the one with the auto parts.
45192.
Yeah,
Got it.
that
And
way she doesn't have to read everything.
45210. Purchasing motor fuels, same thing, not to exceed the budget.
right.
45215. Hoses and belts and fittings, same thing. If you're okay with the way I'm reading this,
Yeah.
it's
Good.
fine.
This is fine.
I can do that one too.
Okay. You want to co-sponsor that one, on the
Yeah.
hoses and belts? Okay. This one, 45205, I did have a question about it's authorizing the purchases of lab analysis for water, water analysis through PACE. And I wasn't sure if it was for any particular
skip one, or no?
projects.
You skipped
I
one.
think we
Did I?
skipped 45213.
Oh, 45213, food vehicle parts
Ford.
for the Suffolk County contract for Bay Shore Ford.
I can sponsor that one, too.
You sponsor that? Okay. All right, back to this. So what, Jim, is this for particular projects, or is this just something in general? Anytime we need water testing or analysis, we go to them?
I believe it's more in general, I don't, let's see.
It looks like it's general,
Looks-
because
it
it doesn't
does.
call for any
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah. It's,
Then when we
it's
want.
generally the Hampton-based Water District
Yeah.
would be the ones, who would be dealing with this. I don't know that other departments really do a lot of water testing, but.
Do they work with the Suffolk County Water Authority? I would
These
assume
ones?
so.
Well, we have, obviously we have our own water district here in Hampton Bays.
Mhm.
There was some movement a few years back to have the Suffolk County, work with an agreement with Suffolk County Water Authority,
Mhm.
but that was, we moved away from that. There was one point where the Water Authority was interested. They have to kind of help run the program there. But they've done that in some of the
Mhm.
towns and hamlets up west, but there were some issues at the time, but things have been corrected and things seem to be doing very well
Okay.
these days in Hampton Bays Water District, so.
I don't know, maybe since Cindy, Councilwoman McNamara is not here, she could answer it on the, when she's back, because it says sewage, so I wonder if it's,
Yeah.
but it's probably just in general, not any particular
Right,
project.
no, I agree 100%. No, I don't think it's anything specific. Pace Analytical, they generally, I think, primarily deal with our Hampton Bays Water District.
Yeah, we used to use them.
Mhm.
I mean, I shouldn't say we anymore. I
Yeah.
mean, we-
West Hampton Beach Village.
The village of West
Yeah.
Hampton Beach used to use them. All right, 45208, Technology Catalog Solutions, from the Sourcewell contract. Same thing is available under
I
the
think it's
budget.
just, pretty much just omnibus type of approvals from most of all of them.
And 45212, Sourcewell contract, again, Catalog Solutions. I mean, I think these things are contracts that get renewed annually for
Yeah.
services, general services to the town.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one, 45257, this is similar to the prior one where we get reimbursed by the county for the, Office of the Aging provides funding.
Yeah, this is really an important residential repair program. There are many senior citizens who are in need of various renovations for their homes, and this assistance would be critical in helping them make those needed repairs. So I'd like to, Madam Clerk, be a co-sponsor.
Certainly.
Is that the block grant?
But see, now this one, it says, this contract will be reviewed by the Office of Contracts, so we're authorizing me to sign it, but it looks like it hasn't been reviewed yet in the resolve.
Right. Yeah, they're authorizing you to sign a contract when it gets to your desk, essentially, the final version of the contract. So,
Yeah, there probably is a need for the county to provide some sort of information,
Mhm.
I would assume.
That's because it says execute a contract with Suffolk County Office of the Aging on order to
And-
continue to receive funding for the residential repair program. So yes, it's an agreement between us and the county.
That we haven't received yet. It just
Uh,
seems a little backwards to me to
Mhm.
authorize me to sign something that we don't even have yet, because we don't know what it says, and then what if we have to make changes to it? Then we do another resolution authorizing me to sign the amended one? I mean,
No,
Well, it says, and will reimburse the town up to 26,500.
Yeah, the current contract expired in December, and the county has proposed a new contract retroactive from January 1st. So it's just, I believe it, when you have a contract that, if we're agreeable on, then you can sign the contract. That's the amount, right? I don't know if the board wants to see something before you vote on it entirely. One, I can try to get Mark,
Do you
somebody.
want us to get Tatiana?
Yeah, Tatiana or Mark, and I could, you know, if you
I
want.
mean, I just have to make sure I read it before I sign it then.
Yeah, of
If
course.
it's being
No, of
authorized in
course.
advance,
Right,
though,
sure,
it's
yeah.
a little weird.
With those two
Yeah.
tomorrow.
They're probably catching up on quite a bit because there's been some transition in the staffing there as of,
Mhm.
recently.
Mm.
So
There has
Oh,
I
you
can't
did
explain
mention that,
why they all read like that, but
yeah.
they probably can articulate that to you, and if it's
Mhm.
something you want to discuss, because Mark was the attorney in
Yeah.
Jim's office assigned to
Mhm.
that,
Yeah,
and you want to try and reword it with them, they certainly would work with you to that end. So,
Yeah, maybe I
Yeah.
will. Janice, I did mention it with Janice this morning, and she set
Tomorrow
up
you
a
have a
meeting in the
meeting.
morning
Yeah.
just to
At 11.
do just that.
Yes,
Right.
make a list of your questions,
Yeah.
your concerns.
this one is more specific, the other ones were more general omnibus type, but this one is a little more specific.
Okay, 45243, Southampton Volunteer Ambulance, Commander Electric. Not to exceed the budget.
You know, with the ambulance districts, we fund them, but they run their programs pretty much independently unless, you know, there are any issues with budgeting and whatnot, but,
Just an FYI that the second to last resolve clause on this resolution also states the same language, contract shall be reviewed.
On this one with the ambulance?
Correct.
At least you're meeting with them tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that way,
Yeah.
if there's anything that you want to change, you can do that at
Yeah,
the
which I-
town board meeting, you can make amendments
Yeah.
if
Oh,
they're
yeah, good
required.
catch, I didn't see that one.
I think these contracts have been reviewed, I would say, so.
Yeah, you're right, they probably already have been
Yeah, have been.
reviewed,
They're- yeah,
or it's, they're just a little
Yeah, they've been
delayed
reviewed.
because of the staffing turnover.
Right, I think they've been reviewed and they're ready to be signed, but I can check with Mark on these, but
Okay,
they're probably pretty straightforward, but.
45209 is the purchase of heavy equipment with Caterpillar, subject to the board, the budget.
I can sponsor that one too, co-sponsor.
What's the number?
45209.
Got it.
And 45211, fleet management. So the department heads have the authority to go and head ahead and purchase vehicles as long as they stay within their budgets. They don't have to come to us with each truck and car.
They do, we get a separate authorization on any specific purchase, you know, because they're generally, you know, these days they're probably over, you know, the limits anyway, so, yeah, this board will approve any, you know, specific purchase, usually it's either from, you know, if it's PD for a vehicle or highway or whatnot, but yeah. I think,
Oh, this is for rentals.
this is more like, right, this
Yeah.
is not,
Rental.
yeah.
Say if they needed a truck or something.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Highway
so they
generally,
need to be able
highway
to
generally
do
does
quickly.
that probably more than anybody, where highway for a specific job might
Make it easier
need
for
to
you.
rent a piece of equipment for something that's typically highway, sometimes waste management as well. Might want to-
Like when the truck went on
Parks.
fire at the dumps, they can
Oh,
rent
yeah.
it, they can rent a truck so the dump
Right,
stays
in
open.
emergency situations
Yeah.
too, right, if
Mhm.
there's, you know, down a dune road and you have to get there and clear because of the, you know, half the beach coming up on dune road or something like that, but yeah, if there's,
Don't even say that. out
yeah. Yeah,
What about the status of the vehicles? I mean, now that you mention it, that incident with the transfer stations and there wasn't enough, some of the equipment was out getting repaired and it took a while, some of it was on back order. Is that something that we get
I think
like a
that,
report on the,
yeah, I think that you have to have someone go in there and do a inventory on your vehicles,
An
which
audit.
vehicles, like we do in the trustee, that we never did it before, then we started to do it. And which one should get rid of, which, you know, sometimes the town garage will give us a notice, but it should be an inventory of the
Sure,
vehicles,
yeah, I
condition.
think each department would have that.
Yeah.
and Sure. Yeah, Tom Howell with the waste management, I'm sure
Yeah.
he knows which, and if every once in a while, you will be authorizing the sale of surplus, if
Yeah.
something's been too old. Most of it's
Yeah.
pretty old by the time we sell it.
Yeah, it's beat.
Yeah.
But also, you have to plan for, in the future, what vehicles you have to replace too.
Sure.
yeah,
That would help you, say, you know, if this
Sure.
truck's, you know, it's 10 years old
Sure.
and, you know, it's gonna last most likely it's gonna last another 3 years. We have to plan to buy another truck in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and you'd think that the chief and the highway superintendent would be, pretty,
They're pretty on it.
Oh, yeah,
On
no,
it.
They
definitely,
are.
definitely,
As
and,
is
and,
Tom Horton,
Yeah, they're
because he
pretty on it.
oversees, I believe,
Yeah.
the fleet for
yeah,
town
yeah,
hall.
yeah. Tom is on top of it, Tom's very good.
Yes.
It's good.
Kristen over Parks.
all right, 45216. Repair and operation and equipment from Granger. Not to exceed the budget.
too.
Yeah, it's,
And then the next one is the duplicate of the prior one, so we can just delete that.
okay.
Is this one we're withdrawing?
Yes, delete.
Okay. Alright. This is next one, this one.
The next three are for security services at various parks in the town. I wasn't sure what the, well, I'm wondering two things. Well, one is, the first one was $18 an hour, the next one is $15 an hour, and the last one was $20 an hour. So I just wasn't sure why the difference in the pay scale, but maybe it's based on the experience of the person. But the other thing is, wouldn't the police department, as part of their patrols, go and, drive through the parks and then go at the end of the day and lock them? Or is that not something they do?
Sometimes
Or is
the
this
traffic
for-
control
is-
folks do it,
Is this
but
for, special events
No, it's every day.
every day?
These people go and they open the gates in the morning and lock them at night, 7 days a week.
Okay.
And if I may, when
Yes,
I was in the
please.
Parks Department 20 years ago or so,
Mhm.
this was the same type of structure that we always had. And it was somebody who lives in that community, who's nearby the park, who kind of can be our eyes and ears
Okay.
and let us know what's going on, things that the Parks Department should be concerned about, or they need to address, or something's broken, or the gates, whatever it is. So there's somebody who, they live there, their kids may use the park frequently. It's usually somebody who's close by, and they have the keys, and they go and they lock it at night
Okay.
at a certain time, and we have an agreement.
I think that's a good idea, to
Yeah,
have
it's
somebody
nice.
with the eyes on the
Okay.
ground,
Yeah.
We do
That
the
has a
same
vested
thing in the Parks
interest.
Department with the flags. We have flag stewards.
Oh,
as
that's
well.
really good.
Yeah, so that,
And is the resolution supposed to read 18, for instance, on the resolution we're speaking of now, 45194? Is it supposed to say $18 per day or per hour?
that should say,
that's a question for Kristen,
Okay.
yeah.
yes, because
Yeah.
I would, it's been a long time since I was there, so I'm
Yeah.
not
Okay.
completely familiar
Because they
with-
all
with
say
They all
per
say per
day.
day, so that's
It
It
interesting,
says
maybe.
per day, yes.
Maybe
so-
it's, yeah, because, right. It could
Probably
be just
has
a-
to be,
It seems like
otherwise.
a really
It probably
good
is a
deal.
per day thing,
Yeah.
because
I
they
was gonna
just,
say, wow.
they just open and close it, so maybe
Yeah.
it's just maybe it is a per
good
day
job.
thing, yeah. Yeah,
If it were per
All
hour.
right.
yeah. Kristen will probably yell at me for this, but I know that over the years with the beaches, there talk about extending the bathroom hours. We close about beaches at 5 o'clock. We close the bathrooms at 5 o'clock, and I know sometimes people complain, like, it'd be nice to keep them open, a little bit later. I know it's
That's
difficult
another
because,
discussion.
yeah, it is, right, yeah. So I'm just related to this, is there a way to use traffic control or whatever, but,
Hmm.
I'll probably hear it from Kristen, but you can just bring that up.
Yes, I think.
Yeah. I know it's a lot, because their staff leaves at 5, so
I
it's
would
hard
get an
to,
email on that.
they don't have anybody who can monitor the bathrooms after 5, you know, and so it's a difficult, but, you know, you do have like pretty nice, you know, they do have some pretty nice porta potties there, yeah, but it's not,
Well, we'll have a work session on that.
availability of restrooms. Yeah.
All right, 45255 is another contract pertaining to Suffolk County Office of Aging, where they're going to reimburse the town for $10,020.
Madam Clerk, I'd like to co-sponsor that.
And 45199, authorizing me to sign a senior services program. And this provides for yoga and other entertainment and music services for the seniors.
That's great.
Madam
That's
Clerk,
nice.
I'll co-sponsor.
Um, I had a note to myself on this, but I don't,
Yeah,
what's the scope of tell us
Yeah.
about the scope of the services provided,
Right.
but
Which one?
that one that we just
curious that it's
talked
coming
about.
from Housing and Community Services.
Hello?
Yeah. Maybe.
Character,
Okay. Oh, no, I know, that was, my note was for the next one, 45183.
Oh,
This
okay.
is maintenance
Oh,
on
that's
the
what I'm talking about,
trails.
yeah. Yeah,
And I'd just like to hear what they're saying about the other council people about, that are sponsoring it. What's the scope of the
Maintenance?
maintenance, yeah, what's involved with that? But the bid packet will be going out, and we'll be getting bids back. Nobody's maintaining the trails now?
A lot of our trail, I mean, I don't know which trails we're referring to here, because it's odd that it's mentioned that it's community housing, but a lot of our trails are maintained by volunteers. The Palmanock Trails are all, a lot of it's maintained by volunteer trail groups that do a lot of it, yeah.
They do a pretty good job.
Yeah, they do. They're very serious about it.
So this would assign the town to maintain certain properties
Yeah,
that belong to trails?
yeah, I'm not familiar with what.
Which I think is a good thing, I just,
Sure.
Yeah,
You know, we just need more, a little bit more info.
Per the request of Housing and Community Services, which is interesting,
where do you see that?
Yeah,
Oh,
where do you-
housing and community
right
services.
at the top, yeah.
interesting. Oh, just as the public bid, though. Hopefully that does,
No, the fact that it's going through them is.
yeah.
Well, we'll find out
Yeah.
before the meeting, just to give us some more information. And then 45107, electrical permit fee schedule. I mean, does anybody know where these fees,
That would be in the building department. It's,
looks like some went down.
I can sponsor this one.
All right, and we're almost done.
Who goes over the fees on this, Jim?
Yeah. that's
Who makes,
Sandra.
who makes the fee schedule? The board or?
it comes from, it would come from building and planning with Janice and Sean. But certainly can be discussed with the board. And,
Okay, just wondering.
yeah, we've talked in the past about different increases, so,
Oh.
yeah, sometimes we've got,
Janice.
usually we could do like sometimes we can do, an actual presentation and we'll have a discussion with building and planning.
Because I see some they cross out, and so they just made a separate fee. They redid the calculation on the numbers.
Yeah, and some they lowered, like the dock marina and the dock slips and bulkheads.
We got that far yet.
That's not-
In the dock slips, marinas.
Does this happen every year, a review of the fees?
Yeah, it's Janice here now.
Janice is
But,
here now, perfect
Hey.
timing.
Hey, Janice.
They don't always get changed per year. I mean, a lot of times it'll be a number of years before anything gets amended.
Come up and talk
Yeah.
about it?
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was watching.
You were,
See how that
Thank you.
happens?
suffering through.
Saving us.
Okay, we just got to the part about the permit fee, the electrical permit fee, and we were
Sure.
just wondering how that
So-
gets settled.
Yes, so, good morning and
Good
welcome.
morning.
Good
I'm so
morning.
happy to be here with you. We look at the fees every year. We look at our budget. We look at what other towns charge. And most importantly, we look at how much time it takes. Inspections can take quite a while from the size homes that we deal with
Mm-hmm.
out here. So in this case, some of these permits are valid, they're valid for a longer period of time. So they seem like larger fees, but they're for a 2-year permit. So, what we also did was, one of our senior electrical inspectors went over these fees with, guys in the industry, the electricians and
Yeah.
such, and they all agreed these are reasonable.
Fair.
So we kind of ground truthed them with the people in the industry.
It's a good
Make
idea.
sure they were appropriate, and made some modifications and amendments, but we're always happy to
Yeah, that was a good idea. to talk
look at
to
it
people in the
and
industry.
go over it if you want to any further. We think these are reasonable, the industry is okay with them, and our electrical inspectors feel that that is appropriate for the time they spend on these inspections.
Because some
Sure.
did go down.
Yeah, so we tried to right-size them a little bit, because some would, initially, we were like, oh, we'll just double them, because they're for 2 years, and originally they were for 1 year. So we did try to just double them, thinking like, well, if it says for 1 year, it should be that for 2 years, but then there was a little bit of pushback there, so we went through them line by line and made them a little more reasonable.
Thank you for that much
Sure.
detail.
Sure,
in
so
going through
anytime
them.
you ever have any question,
Okay.
and this year, before it's July and budget time comes around, we'd love to sit down and go over everything with you, so
Oh,
that for
yeah.
the new January budget,
Budget.
Yeah.
we know what the fees are
Yeah,
expected to be.
fees and what you need in equipment and stuff.
Right, and time
Time.
spent, and, yeah.
Were you involved with the one about the resolution for using the PACE labs for sewage and water analysis?
No.
Because we didn't know what that was for. It might just be
Is that
for
for
the
the
water
water district?
But it
Yeah,
says sewage.
I assume it's the water district, but we'll
It sounds
find
like a
out.
water district,
Yeah.
HDM
Yeah.
type of thing
Yeah.
to me, but I was not involved.
Yeah, we'll track that one down.
Can I ask you a question about the
Sure.
battery storage?
Oh, sure.
What's the regulation on storing batteries for the solar houses? These batteries are probably in a residential house, one house.
Yes.
Is
So
any code how they have to be?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. The New York State Building Code kicks
Yeah.
in when it's inside a residence. And it can
Okay.
only be of a certain size. And it has to have, like, if it's in the garage, they have to have bollards. And if it's in a basement, it has to be away from the boiler. Like, there's all
Yeah.
these setbacks and areas where it can and can't
It's
be.
pretty strict.
It's based on, yes, it's very strict, based on the New York State Building Code and the Fire Prevention Code. So it's the uniform.
And
code.
the type of battery you have to have in it?
They don't necessarily say, a Tesla battery versus a different battery. A lot of the
Yeah.
larger houses have the Tesla battery walls
Yeah.
type of thing, but some people just have the smaller ones. And you can put them outside your house or inside your house. The regulations that everybody's very upset about are about the large scale
The large.
Yeah.
batteries.
Now, are
not-
there, I assume that there are, and this is perhaps a broader conversation, but are there incentives for the individual home batteries?
From like LIPA?
In relation to
Yeah,
the
like
solar
from
installation?
NYSERDA provides
I
incentives.
think there were some incentives for that, yeah,
Okay.
but I'm not sure if there's what's
There still is,
on
I don't think
offer
there's still
now.
some type.
Every time they have these sort of, tariffs or things that come out that incentivizes different things, but I haven't heard any
No
new
one,
battery installation ones.
Okay.
But we can check into that for you,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
We'll have to
definitely.
have a big brainstorming session on the batteries.
yes.
Yeah, and so just as a quick update to that, you know, we've been trying to engage with a consultant to help the town board review all these issues. Currently, that large-scale battery storage is not allowed in all residential zones. There's only 2 that it's actually has a special exception standard for. All the other ones are X. So it would be very easy to just take those 2 out, but
Yes.
it still doesn't solve the issue of like, where would you put them?
Yeah.
If you
Because
had
we
to.
have, because we have very limited
Space.
industrial zones.
Yeah.
So, we're trying to get a proposal, from a consultant to go over that kind of land use
So
study.
you have a
with you.
consultant, or you're at the bid to get a consultant?
Well, we've called everyone. We have so far, the only possible takers are VHB, who are very good actually, and they have quite a team of people who can help, like in terms of people in the energy industry, people in the, land use planners. So they sort of are collaborating with like a team and creating a proposal, which then I'll bring to you.
Oh, good.
And you
That'd
can
be good.
decide if, that's, and you can kind of pick à la carte what you really need.
Okay.
In
How far
addition-
off is that?
I thought we would get it, by now. I'm hoping. I can't-
Oh, you already hired,
Harassing
you already
them.
hired the people to do it?
No, we
No.
would
They're
have
giving
to,
us
you
a
would have to just
proposal?
see the
Proposal.
proposal
Yeah.
and decide
And
if
pick.
it's appropriate
Okay.
and
Yeah.
put the
I'm looking
funding toward it.
I'm looking forward
Got
to
it.
see that.
It's
Yeah,
probably
I-
end of the year crunch, maybe we'll be getting it this month then.
I hope so,
Yeah.
and they did say, they're sorry that it's taking so long because
Yeah.
it was a lot of people out during the holidays.
Oh, and then I didn't realize that the governor had issued a preliminary report. Is that something that you could provide to us so we could read that and
Sure.
be up
Yeah,
to
that's-
speed on it? Do you have,
That's very
I
important.
did
yeah.
see it, yes. Recently, it doesn't really say too much, but of course, I'm happy to forward that. In addition, I have some other like ongoing business from the last session that I just have been compiling, like resolutions and contracts, just so you have it all and you can,
Okay.
so it's not a surprise when it comes back around on
Yeah.
an agenda.
It's gonna be here
You're
soon,
fully
be-
briefed.
Yeah, before you know it.
Yeah, so, but anyway, also with this, the battery storage, the other thing was that, we had, Andy Freeling left the county. I don't know if anyone is aware of who he was in the county, chief planner for many, many years. It's quite a problem to have him gone in a lot of ways because he was like the it guy in the county. And before he left, though, we were talking about Suffolk County giving us some support with the being sort of an integrating force between like several towns. We're all in the same boat, kind of. There's us, there's Riverhead has instituted a moratorium, Town of Huntington,
Southold.
Brookhaven,
Southold.
Southold. So why not all of us get together, and we all have unique problems, but there's a lot of commonalities and common threads that maybe the county can look at us, and help us. So, we were talking about doing something like that, but then he left. So that kind of didn't go anywhere, but I did speak to PSEG and LIPA, who also agreed to be in on like a round table with other towns and all like brainstorm. So we hope to, if you want to do that, we can set that
I
up.
think that would be a really good idea.
Yeah,
I think that, that regional approach is a great idea.
great.
Ed
Yeah.
Romaine did offer to help with whatever we needed when he was here yesterday, so we'll pick him
Perfect.
up on it.
Yeah, so there's a way to actually request the county planning commission to provide municipalities with services such as this, those
Yeah.
planning services. So we can sort of ask them that. I don't know what they can do other than kind of be a coalescing force and be that kind of
Yeah. Every
place.
town on Long Island, every town in the state, every town in the country is facing this issue right now. Because
Yeah.
it's the issue about proper storage, and then you also have first responder safety. So this is,
Yeah.
this is
Pretty
a
bad with first
significant
responders.
issue that everybody is facing, that initially, I think people all felt this was a great idea, and it still may be, but it's clean energy, sustainability, all that, but now these issues started coming up with the fires and whatnot, and the safety of the sites, and then and also obviously the safety of the people who have to come to fight these fires, the first responders, our community members. So that's so important. So you know, it's something, I agree that we should be working, see what the other towns are doing, and, you know, waiting for the state to come
Yeah.
down with their
Yeah, like
report
home rule.
too.
We don't each have to figure it out ourselves, you know. We
No,
all
not
have the
this one.
same
This one is,
problem, right?
right,
That's what
this
you're
is a-
saying.
You
And
get
every
the group
town
of
is
the
facing
towns
it.
to do it.
Yeah.
Riverhead is considering their moratorium. I know that had a meeting last night about it. Southampton has put moratoriums in. There's a couple of applications facing Brookhaven right now. So, yeah, this is an issue that's
Right,
facing
so
every
we
place
can-
on Long Island and every place in the state and every place in the country, so.
Right,
And
and so
and
it'd be good
internationally
to-
too, actually, quite frankly, so.
Good to hear from all of that, like, and put it all into
Yeah,
an.
because you also
agreement
want
and
to include the off-brand batteries would go on fire for the scooters somehow.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
'Cause that's
that's
gonna-
another issue, right?
Yeah, that's a big issue. And
Those
that.
are-
Yeah,
a
people
lot of
like
times
buying,
those are
like,
very,
batteries on
um,
Amazon type of thing, and,
Yeah, those are very,
Yeah.
those, and the city's facing that tremendously, right?
Yeah,
And
so
that-
eventually that's gonna come out here.
Yeah, those are those individuals which might not be up to the standards that they should be. Those off-market batteries that these people are buying. And
That's why I was asking you about what kind of battery.
That's a
it is.
different,
Because I was worried about people like with the storage, if they buy the off-brand batteries, they could have the same problem.
Yeah,
that's
that's a-
really,
yeah.
it's hard because you can't, someone can just boop, order
Yeah.
something,
Right,
and it
that's
just
it.
appears, and
How
they
do we know
plug it
that-
in, and you just don't
how
realize.
do we know that
it.
it's there in somebody's garage?
Yeah.
They
So
go
the ones that
fast,
are
so fast.
hardwired into your electrical panel, those are the ones
Yeah.
we're inspecting, and we're making sure, our electrical inspectors circle back to the fees, they are
Yeah.
inspecting those.
Yeah.
And those are all related to solar installation, right? Those
They're
are the
like,
ones that-
yeah.
Right.
And, LIPA has rules about, that they don't want anybody to get like zapped, so they have to be able to
Yeah, the
shut
throw
them off.
switch.
Yeah,
Like a generator,
right.
pull
So,
switch.
Now, the moratorium, though, I thought you can't just keep extending it. Like, are we
That's
limited
correct.
to how many times we can extend it?
Not specifically, but as Janice mentioned, and even with Suffolk County Planning Commission, they're not specifically fond of moratoriums. There's always a bit of pushback when us or anybody applies for a moratorium. They really want to know why, and you really get into on this one in particular, we are waiting to a large degree for the state to act on this, to come out with their reports on the safety of this. This isn't a town of Southampton problem, as we mentioned. This is an international problem, so.
I just wonder, I feel like if we just did it for another 6 months, in 6 more months, we'd be still, maybe.
You're right,
Same
it
boat.
could very well be. You could very
There's
well-
some
very
definite immediate things you can do during this moratorium period, which is procure the consultant.
That's what we have to do.
Consider whether or not you just want it like X across the board for all residential zones. We only have 2 zones, like I said, that actually allow it.
Where's the second
R60
one?
and R80.
Yeah.
And those 2 zones are, 3 acre, 1.5
Places.
acre zones, so they're larger than an industrial parcel technically. But the optics of that, many people came to say, it should not be anywhere near residential. The only issue with that is many of the substations are in residential, and the idea was to be close to a substation.
Yeah.
So
For storage.
that will have to be considered, but
Yeah.
that could be something immediately. You just say like, you know what, we're just gonna say no to all the residential zones, take that off the table, and then we're gonna continue the moratorium,
Yeah.
or just do our land use planning for, maybe we need more industrial zones or more locations where
Because
it could
it's
go.
gonna change in the future, and we might just cut off, like you say, get rid of it all and wait.
That would put a lot of people's minds at ease if
Yeah.
we did it, but I know from a prior board meeting that some of the council people were uncomfortable doing piecemeal changes until we have a
Big
whole
plan.
plan in place.
Right.
So it's something we can
Yeah.
talk about, because I'd like to do it, because I think people would be more comfortable with that
Yeah.
if we
Well,
did.
then it takes, some stuff out of the equation, and that would just be, and then we can talk about, okay, and that's out, we don't have to worry about that anymore, now where can
Yeah.
it go?
But the issue about the substations, I don't know how that factors into it.
Right.
That's the
an issue-
biggest
that is an
problem
issue,
and
yeah.
why we said some of those residential zones, because those were the ones near the substations. But
Mhm.
if that's not gonna work,
You
that's not
probably
gonna
end
work.
up having more batteries in people's houses.
You actually do. It's
Yeah.
the larger scale ones are for, like grid scale storage.
Right.
but,
Well, that's what I was asking originally about incentives, and how the municipality might be able to tap into some of that to encourage folks who want to do that, rather than large scale, if that's something we can assess, if
Yeah.
that would be better, more beneficial for residents who want it, residents who don't want it. But, you know, I
Because
think
there
we,
are other places that have, you know, some other places have ideas. I know Vermont has something, right, where they're individualized.
yeah, and they're actually
Battery.
able to sort of like use like power from, you know, say you were, a brewery that was not open, you can take that power, in the daytime and use it for something, you know, like they share power, which is neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's those kinds of ideas out there, and
That's
that's a
a good idea.
European also way of doing it. So there's other ways,
Yeah.
there's many ways. So this whole study, and we'll get that proposal hopefully very soon, and we can assess like what else do you want them to look at?
right,
And all the different ideas, and one of them would be incentives.
right.
Yeah.
And also, I think, because wasn't some of these large-scale battery storage areas going to be connected to the wind operations, right? I believe it's like, the wind is going to generate it, and then
Yeah,
it
it
would store
like
it in the large-scale.
stabilizes the
Right.
substations when you have battery. Well, I mean, if it's at the substation themselves, they say the substation had room, they're not subject to zoning. They
Mhm.
would be able to put it in there
Right.
themselves, and maybe that's what they should do, and
Mhm.
not have private people
Doing it.
doing it.
Mhm.
You know, maybe that's the better way to go about it, I don't know.
And, you know, we're running into some of the issues where some of these large-scale wind companies are pulling out of these projects now, too.
Yeah.
They just,
Yeah.
the one out off of Long Beach, they just canceled yesterday, and
Oh, wow.
there's been others that have been
Mhm.
canceled. So there's, the one that's moving ahead off of Block Island is still the one that it's coming in on Beach Lane and Waynscott, but a lot of the other ones are not happening right now.
Yeah, or yet, maybe
yeah,
there's just some
right,
renegotiation that has to
Yeah,
take
yeah, I
place.
guess
I
the-
think that's more
It's
like
an
it.
expensive thing to do.
Yeah, and it seems to be more expensive, as they're saying.
Janice,
Over time,
I
you know.
I do have
Sure.
another question for you, regarding, town board. Is that okay if I ask a question?
Of
Sure,
Later
it's
than
a
another
work
way?
session, it's very, supposed to be very.
Okay.
comprehensive.
Resolution 45183, we were wondering, and maybe you might not know the answer to this question, but why Housing and Community Services is looking for maintenance on trails in Southampton? Would you know the answer to that question, or have any insight to that?
Housing and community I'm sorry, I'm not, can I see the
Yeah,
resolution?
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have the agenda.
We
in
just
front of me.
didn't know the scope of the,
Ah.
it's out for bid for maintenance of trails. We didn't know
We
who
just
to
wanted to
ask
know why
about it.
they're the ones requesting the bid for
Yeah.
the
There
trails.
was at one point something that was acquired along the trails that had a little house on it, I believe.
Oh, so maybe that's what it
Oh.
is.
That might have something to do with it.
That's a good
Kara
point.
just texted me too, says she's
Oh,
available
good.
for further discussion.
Oh,
if you
okay.
want. We
Okay,
can talk about
I'm
that.
sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
Alright.
I don't
Yeah,
really
no,
know.
I remember that.
Thank you, Sunny.
I thought it might have been the new trails you're putting in Riverside.
Oh, no,
No.
no, that's all
They might
bid
be
out,
determining
and we
who's
have
gonna
a
use
contract
the-
for that.
the-
Maintenance too?
Oh, here's Dorothy
It
to the
goes
rescue.
the Parks Department.
Thank you.
Hi, how are
We
you?
We have an
Oh.
IMA with Suffolk County, and our Parks Department will do the maintenance. Hi, Dorothy?
Good morning, so I'm gonna answer that.
Okay.
Hi, Darcy.
So funny that you're all watching.
Yeah, we all
We
like
actually, I wasn't gonna come before,
Unfortunately, a
but,
few others weren't watching as well
I
for
think
your earlier
Oh,
questions.
so the funding for the trail maintenance is under, because it's funded through the Cablevision fees.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's funding under the Housing and Community Development.
So we get the cable fees, then that.
Right, there's an
with
allocation
funnels.
every year,
Yeah.
Cablevision fees
For
for
them
different
being in our
things.
right of way, for the
And
cable
that
being
is-
in our
that's in
town
the
Oh,
right of
yeah,
way.
we get those fees.
Right.
But this is a new concept of bidding out maintenance for
No,
the
I think-
trails?
No, we've always hired our contractor to do that. But this one is going to a bid because I guess the last one, I think, ended last year, I'm assuming, and we put in a new bid. And this is just, cutting branches, making sure that the trails are accessible to the public.
Oh, okay. Okay, sounds good.
Good.
Madam Clerk, I'll sponsor 45183. Co-sponsor, sorry.
How much is the fees offhand?
Well, we don't want to say that
Oh,
because we're
yeah.
going out for bid.
Yeah.
So that would
We
defeat the
don't know.
purpose.
Okay.
We don't know.
I mean, there's allocation made, but it depends on what the quotes come in and who's gonna be the lowest
Well, and
bidder.
everything that, with our bid system is online, is accessible to see prior bids for things.
Yeah.
People can research all of
Okay.
that. We have an entire system to reduce the amount of foils that used to come in all the time to get that type of information.
Right, and I'm not
So-
sure, I don't remember who was the vendor that we've had for the last 2 years, but
But people could sign up for.
his contract.
It was never done by the Parks Department, though, that type
No,
of
only
work.
because, like I said, the funding comes from Cablevision, and the Parks Department doesn't get allocations through Cablevision, only housing, you know.
Okay.
It's for different things. I mean, we fund CTV, Sun TV through Cablevision. We do housing that does a lot of little grants, public grants, and that's also through their office. So that's why she's doing the bid. I mean, she's really asking the procurement office to do the bid for that trail maintenance.
Makes sense.
Those are the town trails that, you know, they cut, I don't know, branches, they're making sure that you can walk
It's
through
safe.
them.
They're not disturbing the land in any way, right?
I don't believe
No.
so. I mean, that wouldn't be my,
They're not
you
making
know,
new trails.
expertise, but I'm
Okay.
assuming it's just you
Yeah.
making sure that, you know, over the winter, the
Accessible.
branch, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, they're pretty conscientious about that.
Dave
Got it.
Dayton is the head of our Trails Advisory.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to know.
Here,
Just
And
pretty
there is
safe.
know-
a
you know
trail
who that
committee, by
is,
the
like-
way.
Oh,
There's a
good.
trail
Yeah.
committee,
Okay.
yes.
And
And they're active there?
And they're very
Yes.
good.
The Trails
Yes.
Advisory Board, you're always welcome to
Okay.
attend
Yeah.
that meeting.
Okay, great.
And our
Trails
liaison
Advisory
is
Board.
Dave Wilcox, our planning director.
And actually, I
Okay.
believe they make sure that the trails are, you know, clear and, you know, we just pay for it.
Because they organize different
Yes.
hikes.
They play a
and-
role.
and
Yes.
things.
Yeah, like
Yes.
if, like if tree, like some of the trails go over the trustee property.
Yeah.
If a tree falls down, they'll call us and then we'll have the maintenance, or the trustees would have the
Yeah.
maintenance go out and cut it.
Help out, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions
I
now?
don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you both.
Thank
for
you.
Sure.
Thank you for
coming up so
watching.
quickly.
Thank you.
Dorothy, maybe we'll just, there was a lot of like just general omnibus type agreements on today too, so maybe it's.
Oh, that's
we don't have to
true.
do it
We do,
today,
I,
but
we
yeah.
can, so, yes. So we do have procurement policy and different thresholds have different policies. So if it's under 10,000, it's like 2 bids. If it's 10 to 20, it's 3 bids. And, you know, quotes. And then we have to go out for bids if it's over 25 and 30. Now, if it's on a state contract, then, and it's under a certain threshold, then because it's on a state contract, it's favorable for the town. And a lot of those that you're doing, they're just renewals for purchases. So if the vendor is still on the state contract, let's just say the state contract ends at 6:30, that's why it says it may be extended, because as long as, let's just say it's extended up to, and some of them have dates, up to 6:30, 2024, if that vendor stays on the contract, that means we'll be buying from him, you know, until his contract expires for another term. And they have different terms, some are years, some are 2 years, so you have to look at that.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of them said, though, the contract will be reviewed, like it hasn't
Right.
been reviewed yet.
So you're just saying that you're gonna review it, and if you agree with it, then you're gonna sign it. It doesn't, you know, the resolution doesn't set the terms. So if you don't like it, or there's a questions, you always go back and forth with the vendor, you don't sign it right away. That just gives you authorization to
Right.
sign the contract.
Yeah,
But you, just by voting yes, you're not signing at that point.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
still reviewed, and
Right.
like I said, tweaks, if there are tweaks, you can, you know, make changes as you wish.
Yeah,
I
it
suspect these
just-
agreements have already been reviewed by Mark and people, but
Well,
yeah.
Well,
They're just
the
with
ones
the
that
county.
we renew, absolutely, because, I mean, unless there are changes, like, but I don't, you know, our office, the comptroller's office, looks at the financing, meaning, when you sign, there's money allocated that we can pay for the vendor. The town attorney's office reviews the legal aspects, I know
Yeah.
that.
yeah, it's just if it's not a renewal and it's a new contract and the board is authorizing me to sign it, but it's not in a final form, and then it gets revised,
Well,
it seems like.
I'm assuming when we do the contract, I'm assuming if there's a bid and there's a contract, everything was already reviewed and agreed. And then that's why we're saying, yes, we agree on the price of, let's just say $50,000. So that's agreed upon, and then you are, when it's reviewed, you're really reading all the little details and making sure that it's correct.
And the proposals that go out on the bids are what the town attorney's office really reviews well in advance,
Right.
because those bid packets are what morph into the contract.
Yes,
Yes.
the
So-
two that we were talking specifically about were agreements with the county. I mean, that language, those terms are not going to change.
Agreements with the county, oh, you mean those, but those are.
For funding for the
This is
Office
actually
of the Aging.
revenue for the town.
Right,
You know, we
right.
provide services and the county is reimbursing us. I mean,
Reimburses.
Those I mean, I don't think the county will tweak contracts, you know, they are what they are,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
legally
yeah.
state.
The county-
And that's usually, federal funding that just, you know, flows through the county.
Right, right. Most of the contracts we get from the county are gonna be pretty much, we have to standard boilerplate, we don't really.
Right,
change too
and
much.
I think you're just correct.
Right.
And most of them, like I said, it's a revenue generating for the town.
Right,
For
these
the
are
services that we
reimbursements.
provide for the,
Senior nutrition program that
Correct.
we run.
correct, adult day care, you know, youth programs, we get grants for that, so yes. Any other questions? I hope I have answers too.
Since you're here, no.
Sure.
Let me just see, I thought there was one
Am I
more.
able to excuse myself for one moment?
Of course.
Okay. Thank you.
In other towns, work sessions are held it's tough because we don't really have a facility, but they hold them in a more casual setting. We use that in our town board meeting room, but some towns just have it in sit around like a meeting room but it's difficult for us to televise that.
Yeah.
We're almost done.
Yeah.
There's only a few more.
Yeah.
On the people who are retiring, are those positions staying
Yes,
so they could be refilled?
correct.
Okay.
When somebody retires, the position is not
I just wanna make
eliminated,
sure.
it's just vacated,
Yeah.
and then, correct.
Okay.
Now, usually when you hire somebody new, it's at a lesser salary,
Yeah.
but yes, the positions are not.
Good.
There would have to be a resolution that actually eliminates the position
Okay.
in order to, you know,
Good
make
deal.
that. Unless it's done through the budget, but we never, you know, like, we usually don't, you would have to omit them from the budget, but
Yeah.
that means these people would have to be let go. But I've never seen us eliminating positions in the budget.
Can't fill them.
Well, we have a problem filling positions, but yes, but we don't really eliminate. We create,
Yeah.
you know, some positions through the budget, but also throughout the year, depending on,
What we need.
you know, the department heads would come to you and request new positions.
All right, I couldn't find what I
Now,
was looking for.
most of
so
them that
I can
were
always
in
ask you
this-
later.
In this packet is just contracts renewal. And we do that at the beginning, there's gonna be a lot, I mean, this is just a little portion, because we do a lot of contracts. Most of them are just standard. When a lot of departments use the same vendors, that's why it doesn't say the amount in the GL, because it's just up to the available budget.
But you can understand why we'd be a little concerned about authorizing something that we haven't even read, because who knows what's in it, you know? We could have
Right,
some
but.
hinky language.
Of course.
I was thinking these contract, the ones that, are, you know, renewals, they're just standard
Pretty
contracts.
standard purchasing
Correct,
contracts.
Right.
and
yeah.
these are the people that are either on the state contract and county contract, some kind of a contract.
Who are supplying goods to us on a
Correct,
constant
and have been
basis.
doing, and they still
Highway
are
needs.
on those contracts, yes. If it's, you know, like a bid or something big going on, then I'm sure there has been a conversation in the amounts before it comes to you, because,
Mhm.
I mean, we all look at those resolutions and approve them
Yeah.
beforehand, so,
All right, well, thank you.
sure.
All right, so, Next one is,
It's healthy discussions.
yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, 45265 on the, this is gonna be the resolution after the public hearing if we decide to adopt it on the water
correct.
district. But who's gonna be here to explain all of this, you know, $4.5 million upgrades to the water district?
So,
H2M.
so those improvements were adopted
Oh, yeah.
in the 2024 capital budget. And because Hampton Bays it's governed through different laws, and that's really town attorneys. There's a separate public hearing for the people, just to approve those,
So they have their own
changes.
public hearing for this.
correct, before.
So we're just approving the money, and once their public hearing
So-
gets approved,
so
then we
the-
can pay.
Correct, so the public hearing is for the people to come in because only the people within that Hampton-based water district
Yeah.
are gonna be paying for the improvements. So once this public hearing ends and it closes, then there's gonna be a bond resolutions, I believe on the 23rd. We're trying to do all the bond resolutions for the projects, capital projects that were approved in the 2024 capital
So they already
budget.
had their public hearing.
Only Hampton-based water district needs to, that's the
Yeah,
town
that- I
law
mean, they-
202B, I believe,
Yeah.
under the town law 202B, they have to have their own public
Yeah, I know they already had it.
hearing. No, this is gonna be, what does it say? This is the public hearing, is it?
Yeah.
I can't believe on the 9th is the public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that time, we're gonna close it and either, you know.
Okay.
You'll also have quarterly commission meetings where you guys.
I think there was
The board-
3 or 4 next year.
Right.
There was yesterday.
Yeah, we
on
just
the
read
or-
that as
Correct, there were
thing.
3 or 4.
3.
3 meetings.
3 when they come in and present it.
Yes.
You serve as commissioners of the Hampton Bays Water District, as town board members.
I think the next one's
So
like
that's
February
just-
9th
Okay.
or
That's
something.
just a portion of the bonding that we're gonna be doing, but, so that needs to be approved first, and then the bond resolution is gonna follow with all that. So these were adapted in the 2024 capital budget.
Okay.
We had a 10-year plan for improvements to the Hampton Bays Water
Correct, and
District.
that's how, and I can give you details, because they did send the information. I don't have, I don't remember. I think there's upgrades to plan number 3, but I don't have them, right now. I don't-
We
Who
have-
come to the public hearing though on Tuesday to explain, lead the public hearing? to
I mean,
describe-
I know Kathleen, I'll be here, Kathleen will be here, we can talk
Okay.
about, but I'm sure there's gonna be somebody also
From the
from
water
Typically, you
the
get
water district.
Somebody from H2M is their
Right, they
consultant,
get-
so they usually have
correct.
somebody, one of their
Because it
engineers.
has, the public hearing, when it was submitted to town clerk, the map and plan, there's a map and plan, so there actually is a problem. Because, we had to submit map and plan for this public hearing. It's allocation, how much we estimate, because at this point, we haven't borrowed the money yet. So it's estimated cost by parcel, how much it's gonna cost them over the next years. There was, that schedule that shows approximately what we believe is gonna be the interest and principal payment on a yearly basis, and the details of the project.
Just
That was filed with the town clerk.
Okay, and just piggybacking off of the supervisor's question, will there be like a presentation or something, or anything to?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
should be. I mean, if there's a public hearing.
Um,
then it'd be-
I don't know, I would assume yes, if
Yeah.
there are questions, I can ask Kathleen to have H2M, I think it's H2M,
Yes,
to
that's the
come
consultants, yeah.
and make
We'll-
the
we'll-
presentation.
we can
But
find
I
out.
really, don't give.
Yeah.
And
And there'll be
then the-
continuing, there'll be 3, as I said, you'll have commission meetings throughout the year or two, and where they'll present what's going on, the ongoing,
Commission meetings to the public?
so, yeah,
To you,
it'll be,
here,
it'll
they
be
come in
public.
here and
They come in
they
here.
talk about the plan and what's going on.
Superintendent
with
of
that, yeah.
the-
Yesterday,
of
you
the
adopted a
Hampton Bays Water
resolution with the schedule of 3
Right,
meetings
right.
that they'll
Those
come in, and they'll
Yeah.
bring whoever else they
Like,
need to,
believe they usually bring
consultants or whatever,
consultant
right.
and-
Address any
Right, and,
concerns,
right.
any water quality
Great.
concerns and whatnot. And then we have the ongoing, the part of, what do you see here, the granular activated carbon systems. We need that because of the wellhead one, because of the
There are 3 projects that
civil
we
fund side of things.
trying to fund with that bond.
Yeah, for the sewer district. I
For
mean,
the
for
Hampton
the
Bays
water.
Water
yeah.
District.
And it says that the 4th one is gonna be funded with
Correct.
surplus money.
That's, right, we appropriated fund balance, that was also budgeted.
Doesn't
That
say
was
how
$100
much it
It's
is.
$190,000.
Oh, okay.
That I remember. Oh, yeah, the amounts are there, correct.
Except for that last one.
Yes.
I'm glad
Only
you
becau-
remembered.
Yes, only because we wanted to make sure that if we put that, other people would have thought that will affect their taxes as well, which is not true, only really the borrowing will affect, because we're using the surplus for the other.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next 2 are for accepting retirements, although I've been informed that the first one is gonna be withdrawn because the dates are still being discussed.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? Which is, which one?
Diane Carpenter's.
452, 45082.
Okay.
And then, right, Lori Schneider retiring,
Yeah,
and
I can
Matthew
sponsor that one.
Johnson's gonna be appointed.
With respect,
Sponsoring
This one,
44981,
yeah. Then when Diane comes back, I can do that one too. 'Cause
okay,
I know these both ladies.
you know them both.
Yeah.
Laura.
just with respect to 45180, will we be seeing his resume? Unless there's some sort of, is that something?
This
Matthew
is civil
Feldman.
service.
Land
That's off the
management.
civil service.
Yeah.
How's that usually work?
So we usually have interviews with HR and, you know, me as administrator and the chief in the department, you know, choose.
Okay.
But if you wanted us to
If
do
we
something
want.
different, we could like apprise you of our candidates, but typically it's, you know, me as administrator and then
You have to trust,
whoever's
you have to trust
in
them.
that department, you know, like the chief or the,
The candidates are given to us from the civil service
service
come from
list.
Yeah.
civil
Oh.
service.
That, you know, you have to interview the
And we go
top.
through the list, and it's
Yeah.
usually the top three, and then we just like work through the
Sure.
list. If there is no list,
They're not at
and we
will.
get
They're not
resumes,
at will.
sometimes
You
they have to,
take them from the list.
it- yes, if there is if there is not a list, which there is not in this case, they are only appointed provisionally, and then they have to take the test,
Yes.
and then they have to be reachable on that list, or they can't stay.
Mhm.
So there's all these rules.
What they can do is they could send you a copy of the resume, you know.
If you even have it.
If you want,
If you
it-
wanted.
or, you know, if it was like a, or maybe we would say
Typically,
for
you
department
guys
heads,
really
maybe
deal
we
with the
would want-
department head.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
know,
Okay.
like chief,
You have to
building
trust the
inspector, or
people.
my position, or
Right,
a
right.
different, you know, higher level. When it comes to like staffing, it's usually me, if it's land management, and then whoever is, you know, it's either building,
Sure.
environment, or planning.
Right.
Especially since you're getting them off the civil service list, so you gotta pick from the
Right,
top
Right.
so
three.
you'll see,
Exactly.
like, right now,
Board
I'm
view.
interviewing for my, admin, like, you won't see that, but you'll
Right.
see a resolution when we finally come to whoever it is that
Yeah, the person you pick.
we pick, and they accept, and then you'll see a resolution. So
Yeah,
it's-
deputy.
pretty much how it works.
Deputy department heads, assistant town attorneys, people like that, they'll,
Okay.
you'll interview, you can have the opportunity to interview those folks.
Fair enough.
When and if it comes
I
up.
mean, if you wanted to see the resume.
No, I'm just
No,
inquiring on the
Oh,
process.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
yeah, you're not gonna wanna get
You-
bogged down.
That's why you have a human resource
Yeah,
department.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
And
Be strong.
Do all that for you.
Right, right.
So we do it for you.
You have
And
a
this
lot-
is such a desperately needed position, these positions in building department, we just, it's hard to fill these, right? John?
Very hard. We have a few more coming up, but
Yeah.
it's very
That's good.
difficult. Just to get an environmental analyst is like, this is
Yeah.
taking like a year.
What do you think the problem is besides the traffic,
Affordable housing?
affordable housing?
Right,
No, that's the biggest issue, is that it's not enough salary
Yeah,
to
they live out
battle
here.
traffic from
Yeah.
hours
right.
away.
So you got the
and-
affordable housing, and then you have the traffic on top of it, so that's.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if we
Yeah.
had, you know, some more housing opportunities, and of
Yeah.
course, the union would tell you, you know, better pay for,
Yeah.
you know, people in civil service always helps.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that is always another.
Well, maybe we can have another meeting to go through, you know,
That,
Be happy
just
to.
salaries
That would
and,
be
Yeah.
great,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's important.
yeah.
Well, the contract was already signed with the union until the 2025.
Right, but that comes
So,
quickly,
I mean,
before you
yeah.
know
I'm
it.
sure
Yeah.
they wouldn't mind doing an
Revise.
MLA.
Yeah. Well, we can attract and retain quality,
Yeah,
people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
better office
you can-
town
you can-
is, better service
Yeah,
we can
You could,
provide.
yeah, you could always revise that contract.
Yes,
or we could talk about, you know, other locations or
Mhm.
office
Yeah.
sharing. Maybe
Right.
that's an option. Maybe
Right,
that's a
satellite,
possibility,
yeah,
yeah.
that would be huge for a lot of people.
Mm.
That's how my administrative assistant went to CPF, because it's in Hampton Bays. And, you know,
Mm.
That was
coming
easier.
here, battling traffic in the summer is a
Yeah.
very difficult situation, so.
Mhm.
And we lose people to some of the western towns, to the towns out west, I mean, you get that
We
all the
train
time.
them and then they hire them.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they do in Brookhaven,
Yeah.
they steal all our building department people.
I get that comment from their commissioners all the time, thanks for training them, Jim, and now.
Oh, no,
Oh, yeah.
we'll have
Really
to stop
awful.
that.
Yeah.
Mm.
it's
Me
not-
too.
It's not good.
All right,
Anyway.
well, that's fun, we'll talk
Thanks,
about.
Janet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, what do we have here? 45246. Ryan White is going to attend a arson investigators, expert witness courtroom testimony. Are there training in place now for the battery incidents?
There was Suffolk County, over here now, there's Suffolk County, training that was offered, to the fire departments. I'm not sure that they all availed themselves to it.
Some of them did.
But there was some training provided, yes.
Okay, thanks. All right, and speaking of, so 45228, ratifying the agreement with the CSEA. Oh, a one-time modification.
Right, that was just for, I believe,
So it's a half a day,
half a day for, day before Christmas.
like Friday before
22nd.
Christmas.
Yeah, right.
And the last one, now what is this? A resolution to ratify a settlement. Okay. So who works those out, Jim? Were you involved with that?
I was involved to some degree, yes, and HR, Sandra's usually very involved in those as well.
Mhm.
And sometimes we have outside, depending if it's,
A matter might be covered by by NYMER.
Oh, yeah.
you guys.
We have NYMER, yeah.
Yeah, so they're great to work with, if it's a damage claim, they'll pick those up. So sometimes we have NYMER involved, and we also have our personnel, outside consultant attorneys gets involved in some matters as well. Vince, for me, has been the attorney that's worked in town for a number of years.
All right, well, that's the last one. So
Okay.
now we have, thank you. So what I need is a motion to
Wait,
go.
hold on. You actually have one person, just had it covered, is X-Men fees here.
Oh, no, he's
Yeah.
out, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
out counsel. He's
Well,
outside
but I
counsel
will
on one of our
ask-
matters.
Does either of you have anything in particular you wanted to talk about before we go into executive session with
No.
respect to the resolutions? No? Good. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so then I would like a motion to go into executive session to discuss acquisitions and litigation and then close the
Second.
meeting.
Second is Michael.
Okay.
All in favor?
All right.
All right, so, no gavel. Gavel.